Welcome to Healthy Cooking with Ro and Friends. Boy, Papa, you're so smart. Look, I'm just putting stuff on top here. So when it rains, it doesn't wet all the olive leaves that we have for the teas. Look, I know, you're such a good boy. Hello and welcome to Healthy Cooking with Ro. Today we're not really cooking, but we are curing olives, organic homegrown olives from my olive grove. Now you probably wonder, can any animal eat olive oil? Can they consume it? Absolutely. Actually, my horse likes chewing them raw, although they do have the little seeds in them, so I tend not to give them to him. But he has several times behind my back gotten into the bucket and grabbed a few, and although they're extremely bitter, he tends to like them. But typically, even for humans, we cannot eat them raw. Absolutely not. Now, let me explain something about olives, because this too was a question that I had to ask and learn about. You know, here we have green olives and black olives. So what does that mean? Are there two different varieties? Do they grow on different trees? No, my friends, all olives start green, and this is when they are the most and highest in antioxidants. So they're great to eat, but they don't yield as much oil. But when they mature and they become black is when typically people will start making the oil with them. Okay, so today, because I love olives and we've done this so many times in the past, and this is actually the first growth that I have that gave me the bigger olives. We had 150 trees this year give fruit, and I just couldn't let them go to waste. That would just be criminal. So now I have 8 bins and barrels full of olives to cure. So my assistant Nadia and I are doing this together, as we have done the picking as well together. Thank God. This is definitely not a one-person job anymore. So let's start. It's very simple. So what does curing mean? The bottom line is curing removes the bitterness from the olive so that you can enjoy it. If you read in certain places, they say in about 6 weeks after being in the jar, they are going to be ready for the next step, which would be adding your spices to them. But I found last year that it took a good 3 months really to have them in the jars until they really became less bitter, right? Edible. So let's start. The first thing is, so I've got 2 different jars. I just want to make mention, I went and I didn't know that they came this big. So I always use the 16 ounce, and this is now 32 ounces. So it's kind of actually pretty exciting. So it's a big jar of olives. That would be like the great Christmas gift, or wherever you go, housewarming. You will be the favorite person on your block or in your family. So let's start by putting a little bit of salt on the bottom, okay? So, you know, when I say a little bit, I'm talking maybe 4 or 5 tablespoons every time you go in. And then you just keep adding the olives to it. And I did, in this case, we mixed the green and black ones together for color and also for flavor. And also because now you're getting, you know, 2 different kinds or varieties, not variety necessarily, but flavor, right? Because one is high antioxidant and the other one might be a little juicier, although they look like they're the same size. So I don't know, again, this is my first time doing the greens. So now we put some olives in, then we add more salt, okay? And then I have homegrown rosemary. So I like to add that as well at this stage of the game, regardless of what you decide to add afterwards, whether it's chili peppers or apple cider vinegar or anything like that, it still adds wonderful flavor. You just shake it up a little bit, make sure it's all getting mixed up, and then you keep adding more olives. Now, after about a week's time, once you've canned them or jarred them, they will actually reduce themselves a little bit. So what happens is that the salt starts pulling, right, the liquid out of the olive, and then you'll see over time they're going to have its own liquid in there. You don't want to get rid of that either after the curing process. So here we go, a little bit more salt and more rosemary. Now you can add basil, oregano, whatever you want. It's all good. This is your olives, your flavors. So I'm just basically using what I have on my ranch here. So voila, jar number 1 done. Now, I ran into a gentleman at the store and he said, "Oh, are you making tomatoes?" And I said, "Are you canning tomatoes?" And I said, "No, olives." I said, "But let me ask you." He says, "Oh, I've, all my life we grew up jarring things and canning." I said, "Well, what do you do with the jar? Do you just close it and seal it and then that, it becomes airtight and that's it?" He suggested that I boil them for, put the jar in really hot water, right? And then apparently it sucks the air out of it. So I haven't tried that yet, but we'll get to that next, okay? So I will put a pot of boiling water on and see what that gives. Et voila, this is it. That's what it looks like. Stage 1. Now the big ones, this is kind of exciting. I really like the look of this thing. And let me tell you, with the amount of olives that we have, I really need the big container, that's for sure. Oh yeah, this is great. So you're almost doing like 2 in 1. Makes total sense. Now you're probably wondering, wow, that's a lot of salt, right? You're thinking, oh, is that like going to be salty? No, not at all. You need this amount of salt in order to lose the bitterness. This is a great thing to do if you have an olive grove, or maybe your neighbors do and you want to go pick their olives and do this. But it is great to do, with friends and family, because this is what cooking is about. It's about love, right? And I know that every day I put the olive oil on my cat food and my dog's food, and they absolutely lick it up. They love it. Of course, they just love food, but regardless, at least it's good, healthy food. This is what this is all about for both human and pet. A little bit more salt, a little bit more rosemary, and more olives. Okay, I'm going to go to the production stage at the sink, and Nadia's going to give me some more olives to finish this jar with. Hey Nadine, what you doing?
Green olives. Look at these gorgeous fruits, all shiny.
Beautiful.
These colors. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
The most healthiest food in the world.
Well, you love drinking the tea every day, don't you?
Yeah,
That's why you're so healthy.
I have the most important part of the job. So I'm sorting the good olives. We should go to the jar from the kind of tiled ones that goes into this pile. They have all different colors and size.
All right, so we have been jarring so far 120 jars, and I've been mixing up the flavors. I wanted to show you because I've already discussed putting the sea salt in and the oregano, but we added the lovely organic onion flakes. So that was exciting. So it definitely smells like onion. And then afterwards, I'll be doing an onion and chive mix. This comes right from our garden. So I cut that this morning, so that's very exciting too. So I'm still putting the oregano in it, and we've got of course, the sea salt. Everything's organic, which is important. I like to keep it that way. So once you put 4 or 5 tablespoons of salt on the bottom, basically just filling the jar another quart away. Then I'll add a sprig of rosemary right in. This is fresh rosemary also that came from our garden. And then I like to put now a few olive leaves in here because the olive leaves are super antioxidant, make super antioxidant tea. So it's very nice to have that. These are actually limes. This is what a lime is supposed to look like, by the way. Yes, it looks like a lemon, only a bit smaller. Well, maybe not actually, depending on the variety of lemon. But they've now fallen off the tree and I've picked some. So we are going to squeeze these. And when we rejar the olives, we're going to add fresh lime juice to it. Not very high. It's just to warm them a little bit so they become airtight.